question comes up, why keep everything in place? You know, I mean, take, say, corporations. Where'd they come from? They're pretty recent inventions. I mean, any classical liberal would scream his head off at the idea of a corporation. Corporations were created early in this century in their present form to attack market principles. That was their purpose. You know, they were designed to internalize risk and to attack the natural rights doctrine. Classical liberal doctrine is that rights inhere in human beings, like an individual has rights, not super individual organic entities. They don't have any rights, okay? But this attacked that. In fact, the roots are rather like Bolshevism and fascism. Organic entities, which are over and above individuals, have rights. It's a major attack on the whole classical liberal tradition, you know. And in fact, conservative, you know, legal theorists and those guys were very much opposed to the judicial decisions. There were never any laws. The judicial decisions that granted corporations extra personal powers, like the right to free speech, say. I mean, in the 19th century, corporations didn't have the right to free speech. Free speech means advertising, okay? The idea that corporations have a right to advertise would have been denounced by any classical liberal. I mean, they're not people. They don't have any rights, you know? Maybe the members of them have rights, like if it's kind of like a partnership, so the individuals have rights, but not the corporation. Or the right to, say, buy some other property. Where'd that come from? Or protection from search and seizure, like you can't go in and get their records. I mean, that's an individual right. It's not a corporate right. Well, you know, corporations early in this century were granted huge rights, not by legislation, by courts mainly, lawyers, you know, intellectuals, including progressive intellectuals, who kind of changed the culture around. But that's recent, thin, you know, no reason why it should exist. There's good basis for just dismantling the whole apparatus and putting them under democratic control. Well, that's institutional change, and you know that gets rid of the whole system. And it's again very conservative. You know, that's going back to principles that were just standard in the 19th century. In fact, if you look further, right through the 19th century in the United States, through the mid-19th, well, late 19th century, mainstream thought was opposed to wage labor. I mean, like Abraham Lincoln. I'm not talking just about the labor movement, but Abraham Lincoln was opposed to wage labor. The Republican Party was the party of free labor after the Civil War still. Free labor means not wage labor. Okay, wage labor was considered an abomination. You know, the idea that you should rent yourself to somebody and be paid, that was considered like slavery. The North fought the Civil War under the banner of free labor, meaning no slaves, no wage labor. These are not exotic ideas, you know. Well, they can quickly become mainstream again. It's again a matter of, you know, subject, you know, things people can do. I mean, these ideas are not from outer space. They happen to be right in the core of American history. Actually, the New York Times in 1970 denounced wage labor as like chattel slavery. You know, it's the New York Times, you know, not a radical